Hey, fifth grade, this is Miss Reese here, and one of our cats. He is a little bit hungry right now because he was just chewing on my fingers, but I think he's a friendly cat. Anyway, today your assignment is lesson 4, and we are talking about adverbs. Now, we've already learned about adverbs, so this should be review for you, but it's good review. Make sure to get it cemented in your heads. So, we've already learned some things about adverbs. First of all, we've learned that adverbs are words that describe verbs, and you can kind of remember that by remembering adverbs add to verbs, okay? Adverbs add to verbs. And they can also describe adjectives. And adverbs answer 4 questions. They tell how, when, where, and to what extent. Okay? That's how, when, where, and to what extent. So I have a couple sentences here that we're going to look at to find and see if we can find some adverbs in them. So our first sentence here, my niece was here yesterday. Are there any words? Let's look and see if we can find any words describing our verb was. Okay, was is our verb. Are there any words telling how in this sentence? No, there are not. There are no words telling how. Are there any words telling when? Yes, there is a word telling when, and that is yesterday. Yesterday tells us when my niece was here. Okay? Are there any words telling where? And yes, there is a word telling where, and that is here. Okay? Here is telling where my niece was. So here and yesterday are adverbs. They're both describing was. And here is telling where about our verb, where she was. And yesterday is telling when she was. Okay? So those are both adverbs. Now let's look at the next sentence. She happily played with Easter eggs. Our verb is played. Are there any adverbs describing that word played? Are there any words telling how she played? And yes, there is a word telling how she played, and that is happily. Okay? Are there any words telling when she played? Nope, no words telling when, and there are no words telling where, and there are no words telling to what extent. So happily is our only adverb in this sentence, and it's describing played and telling us how she played. Okay? And we have another sentence here. I put the very small pieces away. Okay? Because there are some small pieces inside the Easter eggs, and she's little enough, everything goes in her mouth. So I put the very small pieces away. We have our verb put. Any words that tell how about put? No, I don't see any words that tell how. Any words that tell us when I put them away? Nope, no words that tell when. Any words that tell how I put them away? Sorry, I did how already. Any words telling where I put them? Yes. Away is telling where I put the pieces. So away is an adverb. Now, are there any words telling to what extent? And yes, there is a word to tell that tells what extent. I'll give you a little bit to find it. Okay. If you said very tells to what extent, you're right. Okay. Very tells to what extent about small. To what extent are the pieces small? They are very small. And there's our dog Buster running around, chasing cats probably. So very is telling to what extent about small, okay? So we have adverbs that tell how, like happily. We have adverbs that tell when, like yesterday. We have adverbs that tell where, like here and away. And we have adverbs that tell to what extent, like very. Okay? There's something also to remember. The words not, never, and the apostrophe n apostrophe t, which equals not, is the abbreviation for not, contraction for not. These three are always adverbs. Okay? Not, never, and the contraction n apostrophe t, which stands for not, are always adverbs. So whenever you see them in one of your sentences, know that that is an adverb. All right, I'm going to do some erasing here, if I can, and show you how to diagram some of these sentences. Now, if a word describes a verb, where does it need to go? If we have a word describing a verb, where should it be diagrammed? It should be diagrammed right below the verb, right? So let's look at our first sentence up here. My niece was here yesterday. So actually I'm going to erase this sentence in the middle here. Trying to deal with this with my hand instead of the eraser. Okay, well, it's kind of working. All right, so my niece was here yesterday. We need to find our subject and verb first. That's always what we do when we're diagramming. So our verb we already said was, and niece is the subject, okay? So let's diagram that. Niece and was. Okay, now we said that here and yesterday are both describing was, so they need to go underneath was, okay, on two separate lines because there are two separate words describing was, okay, and my would go below niece. All right, so adverbs, when they're describing the verb, go directly beneath the verb, okay? Now let's come down to this sentence. I put the very small pieces away. So again, we're going to find our subject and verb. We already said put is the verb. Our subject is I. So let's diagram that a while. Okay, I put, and pieces is a direct object. All right, so I put pieces. Now we have, one adverb that's describing our verb away. So away will go under put. Okay, away goes under put. Now very is describing small. But what part of speech is small? It's not a verb. Small is an adjective that is describing pieces. All right, so small is describing pieces, so small goes below pieces. And like we said, very is describing small. So we need to put very behind small. And I'm kind of running out of room, but let's see if I can squeeze it on here. All right, there we go. So small is describing pieces, so small goes directly below pieces. Very is describing small, so very needs to go behind small. Okay? So that is your lesson 4 on a review of adverbs. Hope you have a great day and see you tomorrow, 5th grade.